People who cut off their family, what did they to you? My cousin, still a 12-year-old child at this point, lost both her parents and the family had to help her sell her parental house. Long story short, one of my aunts secretly sold the house without telling anyone and kept the profit, $250K, for herself. Everyone thought the house was still up for sale until the real estate agent informed my cousin's actual guardian, a different aunt, that my other aunt had sold the house and he thought it was sketchy. Good news though, my aunt was sued, had to pay everything back and the $250K was directly deposited into my cousin her bank account and my aunt received an additional $50K fine she had to pay my cousin and guardian aunt for emotional damage. We do not speak about this aunt anymore. Thankfully justice served. I wish it was always that way. I wish everyone could get what they deserve. My parents were fighting over my mother wanting a divorce and my dad put himself in a coma after getting so drunk nobody could honestly call his situation an accident. Sensing that my mother was trying to exit and knowing he couldn't defend himself, the family on my dad's side cleaned out our family storage, selling most of the stuff we had to pawns in nearby cities and blamed it on vandals claiming some other stuff went missing too. Even when people helped us track some of it down and ID family we were told going to the police was pointless because the owner is in a coma? Presumably none of the wealthy that my parents laid claim to over 8+ years of marriage was to be accessible to my mother? Nice move. That side of the family is always wondering why I'm never there to cheer them on when they have something to brag about or why I don't compete for inheritance. Yikes. My cousin had addiction problems and just burned every bridge in our family. Used to be we'd buy him food and stuff he needs instead of just giving him money because it'd go straight to more drugs, but he eventually became so toxic we couldn't even do that. Did he eventually sort his shit out? My big brother never did. He used for years. Mostly meth at the end, but he was multi-talented in the drug world. I will admit my father enabled it. He would get clean, or say he was clean and Dad always took him back in. Then he would start using again. I kind of understand, Dad didn't want to give up on his firstborn child. I personally dragged him into an emergency room on 2 occasions because he had overdosed. He was kicked out of the house when I was graduating from high school. I was the first in the immediate family to be accepted to college, so I invited him. He had just gotten out of prison for check fraud. He said he would be there. He broke into the house instead and stole some electronics. We never really spoke again. He was getting bad near the end and Dad took him in again. He hung himself in the basement. My nephew, 12 years old, found him. Dad cut him down before he called the EMTs. This is a true story. My father was an abusive alcoholic who left us when I was a teen after several suicide attempts. He was clearly not okay mentally. We reconnected in my early 20s and when I finally started to build my trust for him again he disappeared. He tried to reconnect with me a year later when he needed something. I haven't spoken to him since then. It's always when they want something. Literally the only time either one of my brothers ever bothers to make contact with me. I won't hear from them for months/years at a time even when I reach out first, then out of nowhere they will call and ask for money. Yeah, I got one of those too. Sorry it has to be that way. My mom is this way. Don't hear from her for months, then she'll randomly check on me and need money. And in the rich part of the family made my mother clean their bathrooms one day when she told them we couldn't afford food. Unlucky situation, both parents unemployed within days, instead of just helping her out. They didn't even pay her, they gave her food they had prepared that day and some potatoes and oil. From that day on, my mother was so hurt and felt so humiliated I decided to pretend they don't even exist. Had a rich uncle who paid my cousin to do some landscaping work for him because the city was going to give him a citation at a business he owned. So my cousin, his stepdad and a friend wake up super early and go to war with basically a ponding area that turned into Jurassic Park. It was brutal backbreaking work that took them all day. They even left all the bagged trash/grass/weeds out for display so my uncle could see just how much work they had to do. My uncle gave my cousin some folded money and took off. My cousin assumed it was a few $100. It ended up being $20. He apologized to the guys who helped him and bought them some beer. I found out my dad wasn't really my dad, and then my mother proceeded to lie about what actually happened. I experienced a childhood full of physical and verbal abuse, but he never laid a hand on my sisters. Now I know why. I corroborated the truth via other family members before cutting off all contact with mom and dad, still close with sisters though. It always amazes me when I hear stories about a parent letting their child get abused just so they can stay with some shitty person. I'm so sorry. If my wife abused my son, that'd be Splitsville. She was raised on spanking, and I made it explicitly clear that will not happen with my son. She agreed without issue. If she actually raised a hand against him. Not that I think she would, or I wouldn't be lying here with our legs tangled up on the couch. My point being, I can't understand it either. I'd rather suffer poverty and hardships without a partner than have an abusive one. They threatened my life and then reported me to my country's officials for being a runaway. I was 26, a heathen, a whore, and, I wish this was a joke, a witch. All are crimes in my country. So yes. I have nothing to do with them anymore. When you say all are crimes, does that include being a witch? Like, are there actually laws against being a witch? Either way, I'm sorry that happened to you. I hope you're doing better without them. Unfortunately, yes. My country is a religious autocracy. I am doing a lot better without them. Healing and living. Iran? Saudi Arabia. Across the Gulf. I was 10 years old. I was given to a 34-year-old man to be his third wife. My parents were so happy because it was a great honor to them that I was chosen out of all of the girls there to be with the man that was second in charge. I was smuggled out a month before my 13th birthday. Was deprogrammed, tried to end my own life when I was 16 BC of what I went through. I'm still alive. I'll be 49 this year. I don't know if my parents are even alive. I'm happy you got out. Thank you, as am I. I haven't spoke to my family all in nearly 20 years. The day it all happened was the day I lost at least 80% of the problems in my life. If I may ask, how do you answer when people ask about your family? I have not spoke to my entire family and including all my relatives for almost 10 years now. But every time people ask me about my family, I still don't know how to answer it without feeling sad and guilty. I just say I don't have a relationship with them. No one has asked me anything. I always say they died. People tend not to ask follow-up questions. I just make a vaguely confused face and say, "Oh, I don't have those," and let whoever asks the question think whatever they want. Both my brother and I cut off all contact with mom and dad. My brother maintained a relationship with our uncle and I had a relationship with my aunt. My parents abandoned us at 14/15. My brother is a year younger than me. My mom pretended to help me, but never really did much. My dad was depressed/lazy. A decade later my mom came back into my life. She regrets her previous treatment towards me and regularly helps me financially. My dad became homeless and had to stay with me, so I rebuilt a relationship with him. He's still lazy and depressed. My brother still doesn't talk to anyone. I know that's how you see it, but using depressed/lazy as synonyms is a bit hurtful to a depressed person. I know that everyone's story is different and it's the easiest to judge, but I think it's just more complex than you thought it is, and depression might be just another symptom of a deeper underlying problem. I also realize that you can't help a person if they won't want to help themselves first, but as I've already said, it's probably just more complex. Anyways, my main point was not to use those two words lazy and depressed as synonyms, thank you. Edit, I don't mean to make any excuses for your neglecting parent. Or any other parent who acts this way, neglecting their children. Depression is becoming more and more severe problem nowadays, and some people are great at masking it. So to the people reading this, please be more considerate before you deem someone lazy. Whether it's your relative, partner, or friend. Their best might not be enough for you, but they are trying, and little things like those could make a world of a difference for them and give them a push to make their best a little better every day. My family started to distance themselves when I came out as a lesbian. Now that I'm officially married to another woman, they have completely cut off all contact with me whatsoever. My mom is the only person in my family who still talks to me. Good riddance. Agree. Only talk to me to ask for money any other time I don't exist. No content when my wife passed away, other than who gets the estate, what is left when I am gone as well. None of them gets anything. I have made arguments, it all goes to my one granddaughter who does talk to me. And treats me with respect. I have in the past helped each and every one of them in times of need. No more. Remember to leave anyone you want to cut out something nominal like $1 each, so that it's unlikely your will can be contested. I leave a pittance, to be paid in 20 equal installments of 1/20 th of a pittance each. That is not how that works, and in some jurisdictions it gives the snubbed party the power to tie up the estate indefinitely. Please like and subscribe for more daily content.